The morning sun filtered through the curtains of a modest apartment in downtown Toronto. 8-year-old Maya sat on the carpet, carefully arranging her collection of toy animals in a perfect circle. The smell of fresh waffles drifted from the kitchen where her father, David, hummed cheerfully as he cooked. "Sweetheart, breakfast is ready," David called out, his voice warm and inviting. "Coming, Papa." Maya jumped up with enthusiasm, her pigtails bouncing as she skipped to the kitchen table. David set down a plate decorated with strawberries arranged in a smiley face. He was always doing things like this, small gestures that made Maya feel special. To everyone who knew them, David was the model father. He volunteered at Maya's school, never missed a parent-teacher conference, and even organized the neighborhood block parties. "Your dad is amazing," Maya's teacher, Mrs. Peterson, would often say. "He's so involved in your education." The neighbors agreed. "You're lucky to have such a dedicated husband," they told Maya's mother, Lisa, whenever they saw her rushing between meetings. Lisa worked as a senior architect at one of Toronto's most prestigious firms. Her designs had won awards. Buildings she'd conceptualized dotted the city skyline. She was brilliant, successful, and perpetually busy. Her phone never stopped buzzing with emails from contractors, clients, and her design team. "I'm building our future, Maya," Lisa would say during her brief moments at home, ruffling her daughter's hair before diving back into blueprints spread across the dining table. "One day you'll understand why Mama works so hard." Maya would nod, swallowing the loneliness that crept into her chest. She wished her mother could stay home more often, but at least her father was always there. He walked her to school every morning, helped with homework every afternoon, and tucked her in every night. To the outside world, their family was perfect, but perfection is sometimes just a mask that hides unspeakable darkness. It started on a cold October evening, just days after Maya's 8th birthday. Rain pounded against the windows, creating shadows that danced across her bedroom walls. Maya clutched her stuffed rabbit, Mr. Hops, trying to ignore the thunder that made her small body jump. The door creaked open. David stood in the doorway, silhouetted by the hallway light. "Can't sleep, sweetheart?" he whispered, stepping inside. Maya shook her head. "The storm is scary. Don't worry. Papa's here now." He sat on the edge of her bed, gently stroking her hair. At first, it felt normal, comforting even, but then his touch changed. His hands moved in ways that made Maya's stomach twist with confusion. "Papa, what are you doing?" Her voice trembled. "Sure, it's okay," he whispered. "This is how I show you love. You're my special girl." Maya's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst. Fear flooded through her small body. "Papa, please stop. I don't like it." His grip tightened slightly. The gentle smile never left his face, but his voice grew firmer. "Don't be scared. It might feel strange now, but you'll understand later. Trust Papa." Tears rolled down Maya's cheeks. Everything inside her screamed that this was wrong, but he was her father, her protector. How could he be hurting her? When he finally stood to leave, he bent down and kissed her forehead. "Remember, sweetheart, this is our special secret. If you tell anyone, especially Mama, bad things will happen. They'll take you away from us. You don't want that, do you?" Maya shook her head, choking back sobs. "No, Papa. Good girl. Papa loves you so much." As the door closed, Maya stared into the darkness, her small body trembling. The bedroom that had once felt safe now felt like a cage. The thunder outside was nothing compared to the storm raging inside her heart. The next morning, David was back to his cheerful self. He made pancakes, tied Maya's shoes, and placed her favorite juice box in her lunchbox. "Smile, sweetheart," he said, tapping her nose playfully. "It's a beautiful day." Maya forced a smile, but her eyes told a different story. Something inside her had broken. She was no longer the same little girl who had blown out birthday candles just days before. She couldn't tell anyone. She couldn't even understand what had happened. The weight of the secret pressed down on her tiny chest, making it hard to breathe. She tried to act normal, laughing when expected, raising her hand in class, but inside she was drowning. Her innocence had been stolen, and in its place was a darkness she couldn't name. Television, if this story is opening your eyes to the signs we often miss, please like this video and share it with every parent you know. Someone's child might be suffering in silence right now. Your share could save a life. Subscribe and turn on notifications because chapter will reveal how Maya tried to survive and why her attempts to protect herself all failed. Don't miss it. The days blurred together like watercolors running in the rain. Each morning, Maya put on her school uniform, packed her backpack, and held her father's hand as he walked her school. To her teachers, she seemed like the same quiet, well-behaved student. To her classmates, she was simply the shy girl who sat in the back row. Nobody suspected anything. Nobody saw the war being fought inside her. Every night brought renewed terror. Maya tried everything a child's mind could devise to protect herself. Some nights, she would lock her bedroom door and push her small desk chair against it, hoping it would hold. But David had keys to every room. The clicking sound of the lock turning made her entire body freeze before the door even swung open. Other nights, she would hide in the bathroom for hours, sitting in the empty bathtub with her knees pulled to her chest, whispering prayers she barely understood. Please, God, make him stop. Please make Mama come home early. But the bathroom offered only temporary refuge. Eventually, he would knock gently on the door. Sweetheart, come out now. You don't need to hide from Papa. And if she refused, he would wait. He always waited. Sometimes Maya would pretend to be asleep, lying rigid under her blanket with her eyes squeezed shut, hoping he would just walk away. But the soft sound of his footsteps approaching her bed would shatter that hope every time. He never walked away. Her once colorful bedroom, filled with drawings, books, and her beloved stuffed animals, had become a prison. Even Mr. Hops, her trusted companion, seemed unable to help her now. His button eyes stared helplessly as the horror unfolded night after night. As weeks turned into months, something fundamental shifted inside Maya. She no longer felt like a child. The light that used to shine in her eyes had dimmed to almost nothing. Her laughter became rare. The excitement she once felt when her mother returned from business trips faded to barely a flicker. During the day, she was silent but obedient. She followed instructions, avoided eye contact, and never caused trouble. Her teacher, Mrs. Peterson, noticed the change but attributed it to a shy personality developing. Your father is so wonderful, Mrs. Peterson told Maya during a parent-teacher meeting while David sat beside her, smiling. You're such a lucky girl. Lucky? The word felt like a knife. At home, Maya's heart ached for her mother. When Lisa was around, David seemed to behave differently. Maya felt safer then, even if only temporarily. But Lisa's visits home were brief, always interrupted by phone calls, video conferences, and urgent emails about construction deadlines. One Saturday afternoon, while her mother reviewed building plans at the dining table, Maya gathered every ounce of courage she possessed. Her hands trembled as she approached. Mama, yes, sweetheart, Lisa replied, her eyes still fixed on the blueprints. Mama, I need to tell you something important. Hum. Lisa glanced up briefly, noticing her daughter's pale face. What is it, honey? Is everything okay? Maya's voice cracked. Papa, he hurts me, and I don't like it. Lisa's eyebrows furrowed. She set down her pencil, but didn't seem alarmed. Instead, she sighed, rubbing her tired eyes. Maya, sweetheart, you've been saying strange things lately. Your father loves you and takes excellent care of you. Please don't say things like that. You know how hard he works for this family. But Mama, it's true. Enough, Maya. Lisa's tone sharpened with irritation. I don't have time for made-up stories. Your father has been nothing but devoted to you. Now please, I have a deadline. The words hit Maya like ice water. Her chest tightened painfully. She opened her mouth to try again, but no words came out. Lisa had already returned to her blueprints, dismissing her with a wave of her hand. Standing there, staring at her mother's bent head, Maya's small shoulders slumped in defeat. The only person who could have saved her had closed the door on her cries. That night, lying under her blanket and staring at the ceiling, the weight inside Maya's chest became almost unbearable. She felt like she was slowly fading away, as if she were becoming invisible. The colors of her world had turned to shades of gray. Her father's footsteps echoed down the hallway once again. She squeezed her eyes shut, but tears still escaped, soaking into her pillow. In that devastating moment, Maya realized something that terrified her more than anything else. She was completely alone. The apartment had grown colder in recent months, though the temperature hadn't changed. It was the weight of Maya's suffering that made everything feel frozen and lifeless. Every passing day, David grew bolder, more entitled, less careful about hiding what he was doing. What had once been secretive and shameful to him became routine, as though his twisted actions were normal, acceptable, even justified. "You're growing up so beautifully, my princess," he would whisper as his hands violated her innocence. Only special girls receive this kind of love from their fathers. Maya no longer cried aloud. She had learned that tears didn't stop him. Her resistance had become internal, a silent scream locked behind dry eyes. But her heart still broke, and her body still trembled under his touch. Her soul begged desperately for escape. One evening, as he approached her bedroom door once again, Maya summoned what little strength remained inside her fragile body. "Papa, please stop. I don't want this anymore. I hate it. It hurts me." For a moment, silence filled the room. Maya dared to hope that maybe, finally, her plea had reached something human inside him. Then his eyes narrowed. His soft voice became cold and sharp, cutting through her hope like a blade. "Maya," he said icily, "do you even understand what you're saying? You're rejecting my love. My love is what keeps you safe. Do you want to be taken away? Do you want strangers to tear our family apart? That's what happens when little girls say such things." His words wrapped around her like chains, suffocating her. She could barely breathe under the weight of his manipulation. "But Papa, No," he snapped, gripping her small chin between his fingers. "Don't ever say that again." Maya swallowed her words and lowered her gaze. Her voice had once again been stolen. At night, when David finally left her room and the apartment grew quiet, Maya would slip to the corner of her bed, fold her small hands together, and whisper desperate prayers into the darkness. "God, please, are you there? Can you hear me? Please make him stop. Please make Mama see what's happening. Please send someone. Anyone. I don't want to live like this anymore." The wall seemed to hear her prayers more often than heaven did. Every time she prayed, she hoped for a miracle. But each morning, the world remained unchanged. Her father's smile still greeted her at breakfast. Her mother still rushed through the door with her phone pressed to her ear, barely pausing to look into Maya's eyes. "Please, God," she whispered one night, her voice breaking with desperation. "If you're real, send Mama home. Let her see what he does. Let her catch him." Her faith clung to the smallest thread of hope, like a tiny candle flickering in vast, endless darkness. Then came the day everything changed. Lisa was scheduled to travel to Vancouver that weekend to meet with a major client about a new commercial development project. It was supposed to be one of those longer trips that often left Maya completely alone with David for several days. The moment Lisa's taxi pulled away from the building, David seemed to breathe easier, as if freedom had finally arrived. But what neither of them knew was that the client meeting ended much earlier than expected. The presentation went smoothly, contracts were signed by early afternoon, and the client suggested they conclude for the day. "I can actually go home early," Lisa said to herself with relief as she booked an earlier flight. "Maybe I'll surprise Maya. We could watch a movie together." Inside the apartment that evening, Maya's heart pounded as her father entered her room once again. His eyes carried the same hunger, his breathing heavy, his conscience long abandoned. "Papa, please no. Please, not tonight," she begged one final time. "Hush now, princess. You know how much Papa loves you." As he began again, Maya's tears rolled silently down her cheeks. She squeezed her eyes shut and prayed harder than she ever had before. "Please, God. Please, please let her see." Downstairs, Lisa walked through the apartment door, surprised by the eerie silence. She had expected to be greeted by David and Maya, but the living room was empty. She set her briefcase down and called out, "David? Maya?" No answer. She frowned. Maybe they were upstairs. The apartment felt strangely still, as though something was terribly wrong. but she couldn't identify what. As she climbed the stairs, faint noises reached her ears. It sounded like struggling, a soft sob, muffled movement, a bed creaking rhythmically. Her stomach tightened. The hair on the back of her neck stood up. What's going on? Her heart raced as she moved quickly toward Maya's bedroom. The door was slightly open, dim light from inside, casting strange shadows into the hallway. Then she heard it, her husband's voice, soft and whispering, followed by her daughter's barely audible whimper. No, Lisa whispered to herself, confusion swirling into dread. She pushed the door fully open. The scene before her struck like lightning to her chest. David froze mid-act, his body covering Maya's small, fragile frame. Maya's tear-stained face turned toward her mother, her wide, desperate eyes begging for rescue. For a split second, the room was frozen in deafening silence. Then Lisa screamed, a raw, piercing sound that tore through the apartment like a violent storm. The scream echoed through the apartment long after it left Lisa's lips, as if the walls themselves absorbed the horror of what she had witnessed. David scrambled off the bed, pulling up his clothes with a disturbing calmness that made Lisa's blood run cold. Maya curled into herself, shaking violently, her face soaked with tears and shame. Lisa's legs buckled, but she gripped the door frame, forcing herself to stand as her entire world collapsed before her eyes. David, what is this? Her voice came out strangled, caught between rage and disbelief. David stared at her, unfazed. No shame, no remorse. He straightened his shirt slowly, almost casually, as though this were merely an inconvenient misunderstanding that could be explained away. You shouldn't have come back early, he said, his voice disturbingly calm. Lisa shook her head, her chest heaving. What have you done? My baby, my daughter. Her voice broke into a sob. Still, David showed no sign of guilt. Instead, his lips curled into an expression that made Lisa's stomach turn, a mixture of annoyance and blame. I did what any father would do, he said, walking toward her, his tone cold and lecturing. You were never around. Lisa, you left me alone to raise her. You chose your career over your family. I gave her the love you couldn't. Lisa stumbled backward, her hand flying to her mouth as bile rose in her throat. You're sick. You're a monster. Am I? David raised his voice slightly, his eyes darkening. You have no idea what it's like to be home alone every day, raising a child while you chase promotions and awards. You abandoned us. Don't stand there acting righteous. Her knees finally gave way, and she sank to the floor, shaking her head over and over. The guilt he threw at her struck like arrows, piercing deeper than she wanted to admit. But no excuse, no manipulation, no twisted justification could ever make this right. You touched our daughter, she whispered, her voice barely audible. You destroyed her childhood. David's expression hardened. She needed me. You wouldn't understand. Rage flared inside Lisa like wildfire. She shot to her feet. I'm calling the police. She turned and rushed down the stairs, her hands trembling as she fumbled for her phone. Her heart raced, and tears blurred her vision as she dialed. Emergency services, what's your emergency? Please, I need help. My husband, he's been abusing my daughter. My 8-year-old daughter. Please come quickly. The operator on the other end seemed frustratingly calm. Ma'am, can you confirm the address? We'll dispatch officers as soon as possible. As soon as possible? He's here right now. Please hurry. Officers are being dispatched. Please stay on the line and move to a safe location if possible. Lisa gave the address, her voice shaking. She ended the call and looked up at the staircase, terrified that David might come down, might try to get to them again. She rushed back upstairs to Maya's room and gathered her daughter into her arms, wrapping her tightly in a blanket. Maya was still shaking, her small body limp and exhausted. I'm here now, Lisa whispered over and over, rocking her gently. I'm so sorry, my baby. I should have seen it. I should have protected you. But her eyes never left the doorway, fear gripping her heart. As dawn approached, Lisa realized the apartment had gone eerily silent. Cautiously, she crept to David's bedroom to check. The room was empty. The closet doors were open, revealing missing clothes. The window was ajar. He was gone. David had escaped. When the police finally arrived 2 hours later, there was nothing left for them to find. No sign of David. No clue where he had gone. The officers took their statements, nodded sympathetically, but offered little hope. "We'll circulate his photo," one officer said without much conviction. "But these cases can be difficult. He could be anywhere by now." As the officers left, Lisa collapsed completely. Days of terror, guilt, rage, and helplessness came crashing down all at once. She sobbed until her throat burned, clutching Maya tightly, as though afraid someone might still take her away. "I failed you," she whispered through her tears. "I was too focused on work. I should have known. I should have been here." Maya said nothing. She simply buried her face in her mother's chest, her small body limp from exhaustion. As the hours passed and the apartment grew quieter, something inside Lisa began to shift. Beneath the overwhelming pain, a new fire started to burn, a fierce, protective flame. "I can't undo what happened," she thought, looking down at her daughter's tear-stained face. "But I will not lose you. Not to him, not to the pain, not to the darkness." For the first time, she truly saw her daughter's broken eyes. And for the first time, she truly listened to the silence that screamed louder than words. From that moment on, Lisa made a silent vow. "I will fight for you. I will fight for your healing. And I will never leave you alone again." The apartment that once echoed with emptiness would slowly begin to fill with something new. Presence, attention, and the beginning of a very long journey toward healing. Lisa made her decision the very next morning. Her career could wait. She could no longer afford to be absent, not when her daughter needed her most. She gathered her team in a video conference from home. "From today forward, Marcus, you'll oversee the projects. Handle the clients, the contractors, everything. I'll only be available for emergency consultations." Her senior colleague looked concerned. "Lisa, are you sure? The downtown project needs—" "I'm sure," Lisa interrupted firmly. "I need to be home with Maya. She is my priority now." For years, her architecture firm had been her obsession. Every project, every award, every late-night design session had seemed so crucial. But all of it suddenly meant nothing. What good was building structures across the city if her own home had crumbled? At home, Lisa completely rearranged her life. She began cooking breakfast herself, driving Maya to school, waiting at the gates when classes ended, sitting through homework sessions, and reading bedtime stories again. She watched her daughter closely, afraid to miss even the smallest signs of pain. But Maya remained quiet, withdrawn. The bright, talkative girl Lisa remembered was locked somewhere deep inside, hidden behind fearful eyes and defensive body language. Touching her hair, holding her hand, even simple hugs made Maya flinch slightly. The wounds ran far deeper than Lisa had realized. One evening, as they sat quietly on the couch together, Lisa spoke gently. "Tomorrow, we're going somewhere special. There's someone I want you to meet." Maya didn't respond. She only glanced briefly at her mother and nodded. The therapist's office was warm and inviting. Soft colors, gentle lighting, shelves filled with children's books and stuffed animals. A small sign on the wall read, "Healing is a journey, not a race." Dr. Sarah Chun welcomed them with a kind smile. She crouched slightly to meet Maya's eyes. "Hello, Maya. My name is Dr. Chun, but you can call me Sarah if you'd like. This is a safe place. You don't have to say anything you don't want to." Maya clung to her mother's hand, staring at the carpet. The first few sessions passed, mostly in silence. Maya would sit with her tiny fingers twisting the fabric of her dress, answering questions with nods or one-word whispers. Sometimes she stared at the wall, other times at the small window where sunlight streamed through. Dr. Chin never pushed too hard. She read books aloud, played simple games, drew pictures, waiting patiently for Maya to open a door when she was ready. Outside the sessions, Lisa sat with Dr. Chun, sharing what little she knew, trying desperately to understand how to help her daughter. "Patience," the therapist often said softly. "She's been trapped inside her own mind for so long. The fact that she's even here is a huge first step. Over time, Small cracks appeared in Maya's protective wall. During one session, Dr. Chun handed her a box of colored pencils and paper. "Draw anything you want." Maya hesitated, then slowly began to draw two stick figures holding hands under a big sun. She handed it to the therapist without a word. "That's beautiful. Who are they?" Dr. Chun asked gently. Maya whispered, "Me and Mama." Lisa blinked back tears when she saw the drawing later. It was the first piece of her daughter shining through the darkness. But healing was not a straight line. Some nights Maya woke up screaming from nightmares. Other days she sat motionless, her eyes distant, lost in painful memories. During one breakthrough session, Maya finally spoke about one of her most haunting memories. "He told me that I would like it one day, that it was love." Her voice cracked, but she forced herself to continue. "I said no, but he wouldn't stop." Dr. Chin nodded slowly. "Thank you for telling me, Maya. You are incredibly brave." Each time Maya shared something, Lisa held her tighter afterward, whispering over and over, "I'm so proud of you, my baby. I'm here. I will always be here." Weeks turned into months. With therapy, love, and time, Maya began reclaiming small pieces of her stolen childhood. She started humming softly while drawing. She laughed quietly at cartoons again. She allowed her mother to braid her hair without pulling away. One afternoon, as they sat in a nearby park watching butterflies dance in the air, Maya turned to her mother with a tiny smile. "Mama." "Yes, my love." "Can we plant flowers in our window boxes? I want to make our home pretty." Lisa's eyes welled with tears. It was the first time in so long she had heard her daughter suggest something joyful, something hopeful. "Of course, my angel. We'll plant as many flowers as you want." That evening, as Maya carefully pressed seeds into the soil, Lisa knelt beside her, feeling a genuine flicker of hope for the first time in months. The scars would never fully disappear. The trauma would always be part of Maya's story. But perhaps, just perhaps, her daughter was beginning to find light again. The road ahead was still long and uncertain. There would be setbacks. There would be hard days. But for the first time since that horrible night, there was genuine laughter in their home. And that, Lisa thought as she watched her daughter water the newly planted seeds, was a victory worth celebrating. A message to every parent. Maya's story is not unique. Every year, countless children suffer in silence because the adults around them miss the signs or refuse to listen. Warning signs to watch for: sudden changes in behavior or personality fear of specific people or places, regression in development nightmares, or sleep disturbances, unexplained fear of physical contact, age inappropriate, sexual knowledge withdrawal from activities they once enjoyed. What you can do: create open communication with your children. Listen without judgment. When they try to tell you something, believe them. When they speak up, never prioritize reputation over your child's safety. Seek professional help immediately if abuse is suspected. Remember, predators often hide behind masks of respectability. They could be family members, trusted friends, coaches, teachers, or anyone with access to children. Stay vigilant. Stay present. Stay listening. Television final call to action. If this story opened your eyes, share it everywhere. Tag parents, teachers, counselors, and anyone who works with children. Like this video to help it reach more people. Comment below with "I will listen" to commit to being a safe adult for children in your life. Subscribe to this channel for more important stories that need to be told. Together, we can break the silence and protect our children. Don't let this be just another video you scroll past. Share it now and potentially save a life.